would like to discuss To Live and Hibiscus Town, two films that was not only rooted in a very special period of China's history from the late 1940s through the Cultural Revolution, but also offers distinct narrative and thematic focuses through their adaptations from novels. And I will discuss the role of cultural symbols, shadow puppetry or peeing, and 米豆腐 in both movies.
你看啊，咱们家现在也就是一只小鸡儿，鸡养大了就变成了鹅，鹅养大了就变成了羊，羊再养大了就变成了牛了。
牛以后呢？
牛以后就是共产主义了，就天天吃饺子，天天吃肉了。
In the 1940s, Fu Gui was the rich kid whose gambling problem resulted in the loss of the family's old house, the death of his father, the departure of his wife, leaving only him and his old mom at home. In order to survive, he turned to his only hobby he ever had in life, and that is shadow puppetry, and he managed to make a living by performing that. His wife also came back with their daughter and a newborn son. And life was going to stay that way for him. But then the Korean War came in the 1950s, and Fu Gui has to leave for the battlefield. The only thing that kept him moving on was that nothing is better than his wife and children. His strong desire to live helped him successfully return to his family. He went back home only to realize that everything has changed. His daughter became deaf because of a fever she had, and his mom also died. But that's okay, because the whole family is together, and that's all he wanted. That's all he ever wanted. It was the iron manufacturing era back then, and he was able to keep his peeing box by putting on shows for the workers and villagers. He went back to being that dad he always wanted to be. But then his son died during the turbulence of 1960s. His son's death destroyed him. And then came the Cultural Revolution, when he realized he can no longer keep his shadow puppetry house, so he burned every puppet inside, and that marks the end of an era. So he burned the shadow puppetry box, the same way he burned paper houses in front of his son's tomb to honor him. And then 10 years later, he also lost his daughter, but subsequently, his daughter's death also led to the addition of a new member, his grandson. And that's the beginning of a new hope for him. This shadow puppetry serves as a continuous thread, not only reflecting of Fu Gui's personal journey from a wealthy landlord's son to a father striving to meet ends need, a war survivor, a bereaved parent, and finally a grandfather, but it also mirrors the struggles of Chinese society amidst numerous reforms and wars over 4 decades. The second film is The Hibiscus Town. In Hibiscus Town, 米豆腐 stands out as a distinctive delicacy from the southern regions of China. Hu Yuying, who is dubbed the Sister Hibiscus, manages to eke out a respectable living through her tofu business. Unfortunately, this success also led her to being labeled as a funo, bringing her unwanted attention during the Cultural Revolution, which led to subsequent relentless prosecution. Tofu here symbolizes Hu Yuying's life. It flourishes during her prosperous times with her husband, and it vanishes upon her sorrowful return to Hibiscus Town after learning of her husband's death from a bold assassination attempt, and her subsequent denouncement as a wealthy peasant, a status that invents scorn and daily punishment, stripping her of all hope and desire to live. Tofu re-emerges in her life when she falls in love with Qin Shutian, a scholar enduring similar hardships. This rekindles her will to live, showing how in the twist of life, her tofu business contributes both to her widowhood and her suffering through humiliation and public denouncement. The story comes full circle with scenes of individuals gathering in front of the small house, again enjoy 米豆腐, suggesting that while much has changed, everything also remains the same. Living through such a turbulent era in China was akin to a fleeting dream, with people's destinies rapidly shifting due to changing policies. The witness of tofu symbolized purity, the innate goodness of people's heart depicted in the film. It represents a beacon of hope amidst adversity.